Hello there, my name's Jan from JB Crafts. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today, and it's a very special day for me today because it's my birthday. So I have thrown in an extra tutorial this week, made a very special card, not particularly for myself, but just to show you another style, another concept of card making. And I do have a little surprise for you at the end of this video tutorial, so keep watching, watch right through to the end, and I will explain a little bit more at the end of the actual tutorial. So this is what I've actually made. It had to be pink. Any of you that know me know that this is my favourite colour to work with, and I've just introduced a little tiny bit of rose gold mirri card as an accent colour in here. So I've actually got what appears to be, a straightforward card, and I am looking at 8 inches tall by 5 3/4 inches wide, so it's a good size. But when you open this up, it's got some extra detail inside. So it's got the panels at either side with the pop out section in the middle, and if I stand it up you can see that shape there in the inside of the card. And then I've actually popped a matte layer on the back to write your message, and again just some of those little rose gold accents just to bring it all together. So this is what I'm going to show you how to make today. Okay, very straightforward once you understand the principle. There is a couple of ways of doing it. I'm going to show you one of them and I'll explain the second way of doing it. But 2 pieces of cardstock basically joined together, and then lots of matting and layering and decoration. I'll show you the products that I've used as I go along. So yeah, I'm just going to pop this one to one side and we will crack on with the tutorial. So to begin with, the first piece of cardstock that I have is a piece of 11.5 by 8 inches tall, and I'm going to well, I've already scored this right down the center at 5 3/4. So all I'm going to do is just fold that in half and give it a good burnish just to pop that in place. And this is going to be the outside part of the card, so we're going to decorate the front and back of this, and then the pop out section will adhere to the inside. So that's my card blank, and this is just made from smooth white cardstock. And pop that to one side for a second, and then bring in my second piece here. So I've actually got a piece now that is 8 inches by 7 1/4. So it's 8 inches tall, which is the same height as the card blank that I've just made, and 7 1/4 inches across. So what I've done, I've scored this at 3/4 of an inch, 3 5/8 of an inch, and 6 1/2 inches. So I've just written those down on a little sticky note. I'll pop those there just so that you can see those measurements for those of you that may want to use the tutorial and make the finished card. So 3/4 of an inch to make a glue tab. And then I've got 2 panels in the center and another 3/4 of an inch to make another glue tab at this side. Okay, so the actual panel in the center, just here, is the 5 3/4 of an inch, which is the same size as my actual card blank. So without the glue tabs, it's the same size in the middle. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut an aperture into the center here, and then we're going to use these pieces at either side to adhere this inside the card. Okay, so what we're going to have is that lovely pop out section in the middle, and then this is going to stick inside my card blank like so. Now I did say there were 2 ways of doing this. You can actually use a full sheet that measures the same size as your card, and you can score your panels here and here, and essentially just have a full length piece to cover the whole card. It will fit from edge to edge. Now the reason I haven't done that today is because it does add bulk to your card, and bearing in mind that I'm going to work on the front, panels on the inside and a panel on the back. I just wanted to reduce the amount of bulk with the cardstock. So this is sort of a cheats way of doing it. So you can use any shape inside. I've actually chosen this lovely decorative oval, which is one of my sets of nesting dies, which is echoed on the front here. But again, you can do this with an oval, with a rectangle, a circle. If you don't have dies, you could cut out elements with a craft knife. So lots of different ways of doing it, but I've just used my set of stitched fancy ovals. And I've got my piece at the ready here. So if I just flip this over, I have marked 1¼ well, I first of all measured the depth of my die from top to bottom, and I've just marked with pencil onto the fold line. It's about 1¼ inches mine works out at. This particular die is, let's have a look, from cutting edge to cutting edge, it's about 5½ inches long, and it is 3¾ inches wide. So this is just the one that I chose for this particular purpose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the points of the die on that fold line, and I'm going to line them up with those little pencil marks that I made. And that's giving me pretty much a central feel for this. And then I'm just going to pop behind me and pass this through my Gemini. So I will be back with you in just a second once we've passed this through and cut this out with the Gemini, which is all situated behind me. So you can hear that just popping through the machine now. And we'll return with that aperture already cut through. Okie dokie, so that's passed through the machine, and that should have cut a nice clean aperture out of the centre there, you can see. So the little pencil marks I can rub out now. Those are actually finished with. Whoops. Just get rid of those so that I can't see them. They were just a guideline for where I needed to put my die. So we'll just erase those. This bit's actually a spare piece, so you've got that one for the scrap box there. So I'm just going to take that off the die and pop that to one side. So now we've actually got that piece in the centre, which is going to create our pop out. So these are going to become the glue tabs, and this is going to be the piece that we peek into the centre of the card. Now what I've also done, just to add a little bit of decoration, is use my die with the next size up. So I've used it with that largest one of the two dies, and I've cut them together to just create a really nice little skinny frame out of the pink linen cardstock. And this is going to fit all the way around the edge just to frame that piece. Now you can mat and layer on here if you wish, but I chose to leave that those inside panels white. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my quick grab glue here, and I'm going to go around one side first and just run a nice little ribbon of glue all the way around the edge of my tape with that wet glue. Again, it just gives you time to get everything in place before you commit to that stick. And I'm just working on one side first. So this will line up now because we've used the dies, and just wriggle that into place. Make sure that those points are lined up on the edge there, and we're pretty much good to go there. So once that's nice and secure, what I'm going to do is just nip it on that fold line here. So I've literally just pinched it around my score where I folded, so that I can now stick the other side down. So rather than just sticking it flat, I've literally just sort of teased it around the shape that I'd already cut. And then again, we're just going to bring that glue round this edge and seal it at this side. Okay, so now it's actually popped over the fold line. You should be able to get this one now to match up perfectly at this side as well. So just because we've used those same dies, you've got that lovely match. Okay, and then once you're happy with that, you can give it a fold in half and that should now all be nice and secure. So I'm just going to pop my block on that and pop it to one side for a second while we move on to the next part. So I'm going to bring in the card blank now, and what I want to do is pop some paper in the background here. So you can see we've got pattern paper in the background which is stuck into the back of the card. So I've cut a piece of this that measures 7 3/4, so it's 1/4 of an inch shorter than my card blank, by 6 inches, and all I did was measure it sufficiently on the sides to tuck under that piece that we're going to stick on top. I've added some double-sided tape down those long sides, and rather than, if you stick this in the back flat like this and then try and close, it doesn't appear to work as well, I don't think, in my own opinion. So I just stick it down the side so that there's a little bit of movement when you're opening and closing the card. Now I've got a slightly different paper on this one, because I'd used the pretty print on the original one, and this is one that I've just bought recently from the Works here in the UK. £4 for a whole paper pad, and I just love the colour palette of that kind of shabby chic. There are some nice ones in here with the hearts and the spots that I've used. You've got some little ditzy florals in there. You've got that lovely sort of shabby blue in some of them as well, and even into the mint greens there. So that's what I've actually used for my paper. I've used a combination of this one and this one on the main card, and then I'm going to use the other ditzy print with the spots. Bit of a mixture of what I had left on this one that I'm making now. So all I'm going to do then is I'm going to pop half of this down first. So we're actually going to release the paper, release the liner off here. And then I'm just going to do half of it first. Now, just be aware if you have a paper that's directional to make sure that you've got this the right way up. Mine's pretty much either way, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to leave it folded in half, and I'm going to pop it right up to that fold and just eyeball that I've got about the same distance here, top and bottom. And there should be about 1/8 of an inch clearance at each side. And once I'm happy with that, making sure that that paper's pushed right into the fold, I'm going to press that front over and catch that double-sided tape. And then I'm going to do the same at this side, and I'm just going to leave the paper free underneath so that you don't have any issues with any ruttling or it not folding properly, because we've actually wrapped it around that score line now, and you've got that piece adhered inside. Okay, you can see there's, if you fold it flat, there is actually a little gap in here, and that's why I haven't actually fastened it all the way along, but you've got a card now that will still fold nice and flat. Okay, so the next piece then, we're actually going to bring the one in that we've just created with the frame on, and we're going to pop this one now inside here like so. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my ruler and a pencil and just pop again some little marks where I know that halfway mark is. So half of my 5 3/4 is 2 7/8. So I'm just going to give myself a little guideline at top and bottom here at 2 7/8, and the same on this side. Come in from the edge, 2 7/8, and I know that's where my score line should fit then on here. So I've marked all 4 edges at 2 7/8. So this now, where the fold line is, I'm going to line up with those pencil marks, and I know that I've got it in exactly the right position then. So I'm actually going to use my wet glue, and I'm going to use my Collal. There'll be no surprise there. This is a really nice strong adhesive, and it's what I use for all my cardstock to cardstock. So we're going to come down one side. If you feel happier using a tape runner or some tape, absolutely fine. I just like the fact that you get that little bit of movement time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a look at those pencil marks. I'm going to line up the edges, and then the same at this side. And as I say, you've got that little bit of wriggle room to just make sure that everything's nice and straight. And then just apply some gentle pressure, and then we're going to cover this with a matte layer, so it will be disguised underneath. And then I'm going to do exactly the same at this side. So we'll just fold that one back for a second, add my glue all the way down there. And then I'm going to do the same at this side. So I'm just going to line that score line up with the pencil mark that I created at either side. And then once I'm happy that that's straight, we can apply that little bit of pressure. And what you should find, if you've got everything positioned in the right place, that one's just moved a fraction, which is why it's good to have that wet glue there. There we go. And this should now all fold down reasonably flat. Okay, you've got the bulk of the cardstock in there, but it should fold together so that you've got that positioning in place. So I'm quite happy with that one. It does close. I've got a tiny little bit popping out there, but I can address that with my scissors once it's dried. So this has actually got now that main part of the card with the mechanism inside and the pop out all good to go. So I think what we'll do next is we will continue with the inside of it here. So I've actually created some matte layers to go in the sides here. So you can see these have just been created to give me that border again round the outside. And I've got 2 of these. And the craft card, I've introduced a little bit of craft card just as a contrast. And the craft card is 7 3/4 tall by 2 5/8. And then my matte layer, my pattern paper, is 7 1/2 by 2 3/8. And this is going to stick 1 each side like so. So again, staying with that nice construction glue here, it just gives me such a good finish. I know that everything's going to stay where I've put it. And then we'll pop this one on one side. And this was a little bit of the hearts that was left over from my original design. So I've got a mixture of hearts and spots on this one because I didn't quite have enough left to do the whole card there. So that one's going to go on that side. And then I've got some little pieces of decoration just to add a little bit of interest. So I think this one's going to go over here. Let me just double check in there. Yep. And then I've got a scrap of the pink left over, and we'll pop those on with some quick grab glue there. So this is actually just scraps that were left over from cutting my main pieces, and I just felt as if it needed a little bit of something to break up the detail. So this one is going to go towards that right hand side there, like so. Just lined it up, and I've outlined all my pattern paper with some pink ink just to finish, just to give it's, you know me and my inks. I absolutely love inking the edges of the papers. I think it just gives it a really nice finish and draws it all together. So this one's going to go about like so, making sure it runs straight with that pattern. And then in my little pot of tricks somewhere, I have got some pieces of the rose gold, and I am going to pop a little heart in the rose gold just to bring this together. And then I've got some little scraps. I've used this die before. It's actually an outline die. I use it to cut the circles out so that I can use those for decoration, which we're going to do later. But you get this lovely mechanism. I've got a little bits of scrap that I keep. You can see here, this is what you get from the edge of it. I've got another piece, so I pop all the scraps to one side just in case I need them for anything. And all I've done is take a tiny little piece, and just to bring that colour in place, we're just going to add a little bit at the bottom like so. So let's get these in place. I'm just going to stay with that acrylic glue just because I've got the fine tip applicator on here. Just pop some little tiny bits in places to catch it on the edge, and then it's just going to come nearly down to the bottom. And again, these are just little accents. This one's a, you know, it's a speciality card. I just wanted it to look really, really nice. So again, I've got my foiled heart there with that same Miri card. So a little bit of glue on that one. And this is just going to go at a slight angle to link those little banners together. And then we're going to repeat that at this side, and I've got one of those ready to just stick in this side, so we can do that one at the same time. So exactly the same measurements, exactly the same layout. I've just reversed it so that I've got a left and a right panel there. So this one's just going to pop in here. And again, this is why I love the wet glue so much. You know, you can drop it down into place and then just give it a wriggle until you're happy with that positioning on there. And again, this should all fold now nice and flat, and you've got everything there in place. So this is how we're looking so far. So we've got the front to decorate yet, and I'm going to pop one last little bit inside here. I have made a little tiny sentiment going down in size again with that same stitched fancy oval. And I've just got a make a wish, and I've scored it down the centre so that it literally folds in half. And what I'm going to do with this one is pop my wet glue on either side again so that I've got that wriggle room. So I'm just going to coat both sides of this along with a bit down the fold there. And then we're just going to drop this in the back as an extra feature. So again, a roundabout central, I'm just going to pop that right into the back. I'm going to push it into that fold and then just fold it over to make sure that the whole thing still lies flat. So again, just making sure that that goes right into that fold in the pattern paper, and that one looks pretty straight. I think we're good to go there. So give that one a press, and then we can work on the front of our card. So panels for the front then. I have got a pink layer on the front, and then I've also got a craft layer on the front, and you can see where I've started being a little bit frugal with the card here now. So my pink panel measures 7 3/4 by 5 1/2, so just come down the 1/4 of an inch, and my craft layer is 7 1/4 by 5. Okay, so I've come down a little bit further with that one to create that extra. There's that 1/2 inch difference there to create those staggered borders, and this is going to sit right on the front of the card with that same all-purpose glue. So just make sure I've got plenty on there to just adhere this. And then this one's just going to slide into place. Again, drop onto the front, and then I can just wriggle that into position. And once I'm happy with that, I can then commit to giving that a nice press into place. And then I've bought a piece of that ditzy print. Okay, and I've just gone around the edge of this again with that pink ink, and this one measures 7 1/8 by 4 7/8. So I've just come down 1/8 of an inch for this one. I like those different staggered borders, so there's just going to be a tiny little bit of the craft card showing. And again, if you wanted to take the center out of the craft card to reduce any bulk, you could actually cut out a piece out of here, but this has just got a tiny little skinny craft card border around it just to offset it from the pink. So yeah, I'm quite happy there, and we'll leave that one to dry for a second. Just make sure it's all made contact with the card underneath. Yep, good to go. So we'll just pop that to one side to dry for a second, and I'm going to bring in the next part. So I've used those same dies, you can see that theme coming all the way through the card, to create my matte layer in pink, and then a solid to go against that pattern. Because I've used the pattern paper on the back of the card, I've used more of the solid one with the polka dots to go on the front, so we can actually pop those together. Again, I've got the ink in around the edge of that paper And that one's just going to sit and nest nicely inside there. So again, I tend to pick them up because I can see the alignment better when they're not flat on my desk. Just making sure that those points line up either way. And then this is where the embellishments come in. So what I've done is I've taken one of my dies from Crafter's Companion. So these were actually the decorative swash border dies. And I've taken the sketched rose here and I've cut this 2 or 3 times. So I've actually got one in the rose gold here, and I've cut 2 layers. I've cut a white layer just to stack it to give it a bit more substance, and this is for the front of my design. And then I've got 2 white ones here, and again there are 2 layers of cardstock here, so I've cut them and stuck them together and stacked them, and these are going to help decorate the inside bit. So we'll pop those to one side for a second. Just pop the dies to one side. And this is going to come ready for the front here. So I can get this one stuck down. So all I want to do is, again, keep flitting backwards and forwards to the most appropriate glue. And I think just because we've got the fine tip applicator on here, this is a good one to use for anchoring this embellishment down. So I'm just going to add little dots in places where there's a bit more cardstock to see. As long as it's anchored, we're going to put something else over the top of this one. I think that's probably enough. She says adding some more. There we go, just that little bit in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this one sort of to the left hand side, and then it's going to come down off the bottom of the actual piece here. So probably around about there, I think, like so. And again, just to keep that in place while we do the next part, I'm just going to pop my block on there just to put a little bit of pressure on it. So with the white ones, I'm going to bring the main card back in here, and these are actually going to slot behind again just to add a bit more detail. This is optional. You know, I just thought it links it all together. So again, I'm just going to pop, I just want some glue behind that top section and a little bit right at the bottom. So these leaves are going to hide behind that panel, and then a little bit down here at the bottom. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to use this edge of the leaf to line up with that top section here, and then just tilt it at an angle so that it's filling in a little bit of that aperture there and adding a bit more interest. And then we're going to do the same with this one, but we're going to invert this one to go at the other side. So just for ease, I'm going to spin the whole thing round and basically repeat what I've just done. So again, just some little bits of glue on those areas that are going to be stuck behind, and again down here at the bottom. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to use the point of this leaf on my design here to line up with that center panel, and then I'm just going to bring this one at a slight angle, and that quick grab glue is going to hold that in place there. So again, you can see when I spin that back round now, you've just got that extra bit of detail there, which all of a sudden is going to link it to the outside here. So our panel is going to come center front like so. So again, I'm flicking back again to my other glue. So wherever I've got a reasonably flat surface and cardstock to cardstock or cardstock to paper, that all-purpose glue comes out. And again, I'm just going to eyeball the center. So I want about the same either side and around about the same distance at the top there. And just make sure that we're around about central with those points, so about 2.5 inches. There we go. And press that one in. And then I've got the little old Potter tricks again down here. So I've created a sentiment. It says, make today amazing. So again, you know that when I've worked vertically, I like to bring that horizontal across it here. So I've actually already decorated this one, and I've just popped another layer of the scrap craft card on this right hand side to raise it over what I'm working with here and allow it to fall flat. So again, it is cardstock, but because I'm going over the mirror card as well, I'm actually going to use my acrylic glue on this one. So if I've got anything that resemble embellishments, I do tend to come back to that quick grab acrylic glue there. So this one is going to come right up level with the edge of the patterned paper and about just below halfway. And again, I'm just going to bring in my T-square ruler there just to make sure that I've got a chance of it being relatively straight. This edge is governing it to a certain extent, but yeah, that looks okay to me. And we've got our sentiment in place. And then again, just to tie it all in with what we did on the inside of the card, I've got a little tiny scrap of that gold again, just offsetting what we've got up here. So I just want to pop just a few dots again to hold it in place with that wet glue. So wherever it wants to be anchored, making sure that that bottom edge there is good to go, just with a few little dots. And I'm going to tap off any excess on that one because I don't want it to splurge out. And then all I'm going to do is line this up with my sentiment here. So just push it right up to where that sentiment finished. And again, it's just bringing in that rose gold there and linking it with what we've got going on with the embellishment at the top there. Okay. And then the last bit inside, I've got lots of those. You remember I said I'd use this die to cut those pieces out. So I've got lots of the little spots going on here. So we can actually just add a few of these onto the inside and add a little bit of decoration on this white panel. So I'm just going to go for 1, 2, 3, 4 across the bottom and 1, 2, 3 at the top there. So let's have a look what we've got. I don't want them to be too big, so I've got lots of different sizes. That's the beauty of that die. If you've got anything like that, or if you see anything like that, they're worth grabbing. So again, we're going to go with a decent size one, I think, to start off with at either side. So we'll go with those top and bottom. Then I'm going to come down in size, so we're going to have a slightly smaller one and another smaller one, and then a little dinky one there. That one just wants to move down a bit. And again, with that wet glue, you've got the facility to do that. And then again, I'm going to go with those similar sizes. So we're going to take one of those up to there and a slightly smaller one. So I've got that odd number there with a 4 and a 3, and it just adds that little bit of extra detail just to break up that white space inside. As I say, not necessary, it's just, you know what I'm like with the embellishments and the decoration. And then finally, I've created that space to work on at the back. And this one, I have got a 7.5 by 5.25 inch craft layer, and then a 7.25 by 5 inch paper layer. Just ink the edge again to bring it all together, and just that little dot of that rose gold to bring everything together. So we can use that collal all-purpose then to get that back one. So it's a really nice robust design, this, what with all the different mats and layers, and then that collal glue as well. So again, that one can drop onto the back there and give that a press into place. There we go. So you can see my design there. So if we tip that back over now, we've got that lovely decoration on the front there. We've got that pop out section in the centre, and then you've got the place to write your greeting on the back there of the card. So really, really nice design. You can see we've got all that at the ready, and I thought, seeing as it was such a special one, and it was a little bit, where you've got this here, there is a little bit of bulk here, So you could make a gift box, a matching gift box, but I've actually made my own envelope for this one. And again, I've kept with that same theme. So this is just a piece of pattern paper that I've used, and I've used the same die cuts. I've inked it with the pink. I've added a couple of those little spots there in the rose gold, and then it's got my wax seal on the back good to go, along with some double-sided tape to seal the card. And this has been designed to fit this in nicely. I've made the envelope around the card excuse me, so that I've got that little bit of bounce in it, and then this will fold over the top, ready to go to the recipient. Okay, so any of your paper pads this can be taken from. I just chose one that fit in with my colour scheme there, and I have used a paperweight here for the envelope rather than cardstock. I do find it's a little bit more forgiving with regards to shaping it and moulding it. So that's my envelope, that's my card, and then I did say at the end of the video that I've got a surprise. So I'm actually going to do a giveaway. I'll bring this one in. This has got the other pattern on. Just to celebrate my birthday today, and just as a thank you to everybody out there for the amount of support that I've received since I started my YouTube channel, which is only 3 months ago, and it has flown. I am thoroughly enjoying it, and I just thought this was a perfect opportunity to say thank you for all the support that you've shown me over the last few months, and prior to that when I worked for Crafters Companion. So there's a couple of things that you need to do, and I'm going to also put this on my Facebook page at JB Crafts. But what I would like you to do is, first of all, you need to be subscribed to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed that. That's part of the conditions for the giveaway. And then it would make sense that you pop your name for me in the comments, because I know a lot of you that use YouTube, like myself, have got like a YouTube handle which is not necessarily your name. So if you could just write your name in the comments in block capital so that I can see them, and then I'll make a list of all the names to do the draw, and that draw is going to take place in a couple of weeks' time at the end of May. So on the 31st of May I'll make a list of everybody that's actually done those 3 things, and then the last thing that I would like you to do is to share my YouTube channel. So if you wouldn't mind sharing the details of my channel on your own social media, and I can check to see who's actually done that, and then I will choose a winner at the end of May, and I'm actually going to send out this particular card that I've made here, along with a small prize, and probably add some little goodies in there as well. And it is open to anywhere, UK, US, which I know most of my followers come from. Anywhere else I'm quite happy to post out to, and I will give the details of an email address where you can send your information once I've chosen a winner at the end of May. So you must be subscribing to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, pop your name in the comments for me in block capital letters, and share my channel on your own social media. If you don't use social media, don't worry, that's not really a problem. It is just to help get my channel out there and hopefully let it grow. So yeah, I am really looking forward to seeing how many of you want to take part in that. So yeah, thank you very much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed the process of the pop-out card there. A little bit of a showstopper today, just for something special, creating that detail just to help celebrate my birthday. And again, as I say, I will pop all the details of that giveaway on my Facebook page, which is also JB Crafts. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you back here very, very soon. Bye bye now.